Hey guys, let's talk about some Goose Creek candles. I have the first Goose Creek candle haul on the new startup of this channel. My first Goose Creek candle haul, and I've actually had a really long history with Goose Creek. It goes back to 2014 when I placed my first order with Goose Creek Candle. So I have a pretty long history with this candle company. I've always really liked them, especially for fall. I've thought they've always been in the top tier of fall candle companies. I actually really like the direction that this brand has been going in the past 2 or 3 years. Now I'm gonna have a couple, probably even 2 or 3 hauls from Goose Creek in the next couple of weeks. I have good and bad news for me, not for you, good and bad news. The bad news is I'm not moving out of this house until probably mid-September or so. You know how it goes when you're buying a new house and trying to sell a house. Best laid plans. Closing got pushed back until mid-September, so I am going to be in this house a little bit longer. But the good news is I have a little bit more time to prepare for the move. And you know, it's not like I wasn't prepared anyway, but a little bit more time to prepare. One thing I do understand, and I do realize that Goose Creek as a whole, especially on social media, if you are in the candle community or if you've been in the candle community over the past few years, you will understand that this candle company has been a little bit of a divisive candle company. And when I say divisive, I mean controversial, even to the point of being a really hot button topic for a lot of people in the candle community. Now, if you're not in really the candle community and you're just kind of enjoying this video from afar and you just like candles and you don't really care about that kind of stuff, you won't really know what I'm talking about. But I try to put that kind of outside stuff, you know, especially with the owner of the company, I try to put that stuff aside and I just try to focus on the candles in general. And I know that some people don't even like their candles from the get-go. I know that they have had trouble with sooting over the years, but I do like the direction this candle company is taking, kind of steering away more from the 2-wick large jars and focusing on these smaller 3-wick jars. Now, there was a point where I kind of went all in on their 2-wick tumblers. I had a video of those back in 2020. It was a haul video that I did with their 2-wick tumblers, just focusing on those. And I didn't really have the best of luck with those. But I can say the 3-wick candles so far in my experience have performed about how you would expect, kind of in line with Bath & Body Works. And I would even offer this company as an alternative to Bath & Body Works candles. They do have the sales quite a bit. Their candles aren't as cheap as they used to be. Used to, you could buy these candles, the 2-wick large jars, for $10 on the regular. Now the 3-wicks are kind of right around $15 or so. Occasionally you'll see a coupon where you can get them a little bit less than that, maybe a little bit more than $10. So they are an alternative to Bath & Body Works. So I would recommend them as far as that goes. If you're wanting something similar to Bath & Body Works for a little bit less of a price point, then this is a candle company that I would recommend. But having said all that, let's get into this haul. It is a pretty big haul, and I'm just gonna kind of randomly pick these up as I go. The first one I'm gonna start with is Harvest Market. This is one that I thought would be generic and kind of just run of the mill, but I wanted to try it. I never tried this one. It's been around for a couple of years. And I actually really like this one. The two dominant notes to me are a Red Delicious apple and like a maple vanilla sweetness. Even can kind of come across as a caramel apple. But boy, I was expecting this one to be a lot more generic than it is. And even while the apple here is a little bit plasticky, just a little bit, I do like the fragrance here. It's a lot more than I was expecting. It is more on the lines of a sweeter apple. So not necessarily a caramel apple, but just kind of think more of a maple apple. And I really like this one, Harvest Market. Now I'm gonna burn all of these. I'm gonna go really hard on them. And I am gonna kind of offer something different than my usual empties video with the Goose Creek candles. I'm gonna kind of do like a halfway point burn review or update video on all of my Goose Creek candles. and just kind of tell people what I've experienced, because I haven't really talked about their 3 wicks, whether it be on my Instagram or on this channel. And I will have another couple of hauls too to go along with this one. The next one, Spider Web Pancakes. And you know, the one thing about these candles, they don't have the scent notes on the bottom of them. I'm just going off of what I experienced, my first impressions, what comes to mind, what stands out when I smell them for the first time. And this one, I would say, it is very much that interpretation of a pancake note in this fragrance, and it usually starts with a maple syrup, a very sweet maple syrup. Companies do that, and that is exactly what I'm picking up here. And even you can kind of see on the label here, those blackberries that kind of look like spiders here. And I do pick up that sweet, very sweet blackberry note here. It's not a tart blackberry. It goes very well with the kind of maple syrup pancake vibe. There is a uniqueness about this where we have the maple and the blackberry combined. I haven't really smelled anything like that before. I think this was a candle that I actually purchased before in the 2-wick tumblers. I think I had it in that haul, and I don't really think I was initially impressed with it back then, but right now I kind of like it. Nothing mind-blowing, nothing earth-shattering, but I do like it here on cold. I'm just kind of smelling it right now. The next one is Apple Cheesecake Cupcake. Okay, I see apple, cheesecake, and cupcake. Okay, it's gonna be one or the other. It can't be cheesecake and cupcake. They're just not gonna be able to pull that off. Let's see what this one is. Spoiler alert, I've had this one in the 2-wick tumblers when it first came out in 2020. I was kind of lukewarm on it back then. It does have quite a bit of that apple sweetness in it, so apple cheesecake, sure. I mean, it could go that route. Apple pancakes, yeah, even that route as well. Not necessarily apple cupcake. There is a lot of sweetness though in this. Almost like an apple caramel combination or an apple maple combination. So apple cheesecake cupcake, yeah, I could kind of see that. I mean, not the cupcake part of it, but an apple cheesecake, an apple pancake, I could see that. That one's good, and I remember being lukewarm on this one when I first tried it back in 2020. But there's something about it right now that's really kind of hitting home for me. Okay, the next one is Glazed Apple Donut. And again, I don't have the notes for any of these in front of me while I'm doing this, kind of just going blindly, first impressions, what I think, what stands out initially in the candle. Okay, yeah, a lot of apple, a lot of sweetness again here. It's a different kind of sweetness though, compared to the apple cheesecake cupcake. I do get almost an iced glaze here feel for this one, combined with that apple. And this one has a little bit more of a bakery feel. You can kind of get that donut here in this fragrance. A lot more of a vanilla glazed icing in this one, a lot more sweetness, a lot more of even that donut to this too. The apple and the icing really jump out at me here in this one. And so far, really impressed with that one. First impressions, Glazed Apple Donut. Okay, and this is a candle that I've had a lot of experience with back in the 2-wick large jars. It is Apple Bourbon. And this one was purchased a while back, but I decided to throw it into this haul. I have owned this one several times before, and I am very familiar with it. It's kind of almost like an apple cidery, little bit of a spicy bourbon, a little bit of a booziness to it. Almost just a hint of a perfumey undertone to it. I don't really know what that is. It's almost a masculine woodsiness. For me, it's a dominant, almost apple cider booziness to this candle, sweetness to it. I could burn this one in place of an apple cider candle. As a matter of fact, I've usually burned this one in conjunction with Goose Creek's apple cider candle. They go very well together. They mesh very well. And this does kind of give a little bit of an apple cider feel when you burn it, just a little bit of a booziness to go along with it. And that is Apple Bourbon. That's tried and true. I know I love that one. I've burned it many times before. I know what to expect. So that one is one that I have a lot of experience with. This one as well, candy corn. And I really like the labels that they're doing on some of these Halloween candles. Just their aesthetic that they're putting out this year, this fall. I think they're doing a really good job with the way they've gone about their labels, especially on the Halloween candles. And candy corn is one I have burned many times before in the 2-wick large jars. I haven't burned it in the 3 wicks before. Oh, it's very sweet. I mean, if you've smelled candy corn before, if you've opened a bag of candy corn, they don't really have a strong smell. They kind of smell like corn syrup and wax. You know that waxiness on the candy corn? They kind of smell just like a sweetened wax. So they don't really put out much of a smell if you really smell them. I think a lot of people go off of what they taste like. They think that they should smell like what they taste like. But my impression of this candle is a very sweet vanilla, almost a honeyed vanilla. A lot of sweetness here, a lot of sugary sweetness, but almost even a syrupy sweetness to this. Maybe a little bit of a caramel sweetness to this, but mostly it's almost like a sweetened, sugary sweetened vanilla and honey. Yeah, that's a really good interpretation of a candy corn fragrance. Throw's usually pretty solid on this too for a candy corn. Now I know the benchmark for candy corn candles is the Yankee Candle version of it. This is right up there competing with Yankee Candle's candy corn. And yeah, just look at that label. That's a really nice job that they did with this wraparound label and a lot of the labels that they've done for their Halloween collection. Okay, Caramel Apple Lane. This is one that I just expected to kind of be a very generic caramel apple, maybe something leaning towards Cider Lane from Bath & Body Works. I've never smelled this one before. And yeah, pretty similar to Cider Lane from Bath & Body Works. So a very, very smooth caramel, a green apple, maybe even just a touch of maple and sweet vanilla here. Yeah, not a lot of spice here, but think of Bath & Body Works Cider Lane, and that's pretty similar to this one right here. And then we have, well, the big mess of this haul right here was Haunted Forest. I wanted to throw in a few of their Halloween candles in this haul, and even one I hadn't tried before. And Haunted Forest, I knew there was a really good chance I wasn't gonna like this one. Oh, it's so hard to smell. I cannot. This is one of the candles that when I'm kind of going through these candles and smelling them and see what I think on cold sniff. This is one I've really started to just avoid. And it's a lot of almost a really sweet masculine tobacco. And it wouldn't surprise me if there were a lot of dark notes in this too. Patchouli, an earthy patchouli. There's some amber, I would even say, in this. But it's centered around a masculine tobacco that comes off very sweet and headache inducing and just not something I'm gonna burn. And that one will probably end up being gifted or, I don't know, thrown away. I don't think you can return Goose Creek. I don't really even know their policy on returns, on candle returns, but I'm not gonna waste my time burning that candle because I know I'm not gonna like it. And then we go from my least favorite in this haul to probably my absolute favorite. I talked about this one a lot in 2020, I want to say, when it came out, in that 2-wick tumbler haul that I had, and it is Pumpkin Cider Donut. I don't remember if this one came out last year in the 3 wicks, but I do know that it came out in the wax melts last year, which I really wanted to get, but it was on my no-buy last fall, so I didn't pick it up. That's outstanding. That is an outstanding pumpkin cider donut fragrance. It is exactly what it says. And I'll tell you what, while burning this candle, at least the 2-wick tumbler, while burning it, it is even better while burning it than it is on cold, and it is remarkable on cold sniff. I think I even called this back in 2020 my #1 fall candle. So that says a lot. I burned a lot of really good fall candles in 2020, and this was at the very top of that list for all candle companies. So exactly what it says: pumpkin, an apple cider, and a donut. Then we have Guilty Pumpkin. And this one, you know, kind of harkens back a little bit, inspired by a fragrance from Bath and Body Works. Yeah, a lot of that nuttiness from pumpkin pecan waffles, a very maple, sweet, brown sugary feel, vanilla cream, very similar, just their take on pumpkin pecan waffles, and that is Guilty Pumpkin. I love the label here for this one as well. If you can kind of see that jack-o'-lantern, I don't know if it's coming through very well with the glare, but love that label. Love the aesthetic of these Halloween candles that Goose Creek put out this year. Next one is a one that's been around for a hot minute. I think it's come out for the past 2 or 3 years. It is Carnival Candied Apple. I wanted to experience, you know, something that wasn't necessarily a new fragrance, but something I haven't really tried before, and that's what this is. It is very much what it says, a candied apple fragrance, very sweetened too. Really get that caramel here, but it is different. It does separate itself from Caramel Apple Lane. While that one tends to lean more on that smooth caramel, this one kind of leans more on a candied caramel and apple. Little bit plasticky. I won't even say that they're miles apart even. If you smell these two fragrances, you might think they have a lot of similarities. And a little bit, but enough differences to kind of justify owning both of them. Yeah, I would definitely term these two different fragrances that you should probably pick up if you are at all interested in a caramel apple fragrance, and if you are a caramel apple fan, an apple fan, a fall apple fan, Carnival Candied Apple. And the last candle in this haul, wow, that was a pretty big haul. This is Autumn. I've never tried this one before, and I wanted to see what it was all about. Okay, this is more on the lines of a bakery caramel fragrance. Kind of hinting at cinnamon sugar donut, something like that from Bath and Body Works. Okay, but there's a lot going on in this one. It's a very cozy and warm, spicy fragrance. A little bit of a caramel feel to it too. Cinnamon, caramel, a warmth to it, a vanilla creaminess, but a lot of spices in this. Yeah, but there's a lot going on here. It's very cozy. I'm glad I picked this one up. It kind of deviates from a lot of these other ones. It really does focus more on the spices here in this candle. This is Autumn. I'm looking forward to burning that one. Even though this scent profile isn't necessarily something I would gravitate towards, it goes in a little bit different direction than your normal kind of cinnamon sugar donut bakery fragrance. That is my haul from Goose Creek, my first haul. I'm gonna have a couple more. I think in total, this haul was about $200 when I add everything up combined, because I had a couple of candles in here that I threw in from another haul. So about $200 worth of candles here, and I'm gonna go heavy on Goose Creek and burn a lot of these, kind of give an update. Like I said, I know there's a lot of mixed reviews on Goose Creek candles. I get it. And so to kind of give you a different perspective, a different opinion than just hearing one loud voice on YouTube talk about them and gush about them, I thought I would talk about them and give my own frame of mind, my own opinion. I'm just gonna kind of run down my favorites from this haul. There were actually a lot of them that I could include. Just gonna kind of give a handful of them. Of course, pumpkin cider donut, that one stood out quite a bit. I already know I've had experience with that one, and this one as well. Candy corn, that one stood out. Caramel Apple Lane, just a variation of Cider Lane from Bath and Body Works. That one stood out as well. I'm gonna even say this one, Web Pancakes. It does have a little bit of a generic vibe to it, but I like the sweet blackberry that they threw in with that maple. Let's go with the apple cheesecake cupcake. This one, I've done almost a complete 180 on this one. As far as how I initially felt about it back in 2020 when I placed that first haul. So I'm gonna throw this one in too. As far as my first impressions, the ones that really stood out to me, Harvest Market even. was one that I really like. I like that kind of apple, that sweet apple in this one. So I am gonna give an update video, a post-burn review video for the halfway point on several of these here coming up. And I will also include an empties video for just Goose Creek, just so we can kind of focus on these candles because I went real heavy on them with 2 or 3 hauls, and you'll see I'll have another haul here coming up. I'll probably still be in this house too. Unfortunately, still in this house. When you see the next haul video, which will probably be in the next 2 or 3 days from Goose Creek, I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll talk to you soon.